in several times in his letter. So just look up poieo, which is the verb form, or just do righteousness. I'm not sure how it's going to be translated in English Bibles, but poieo means to do in English, and that's why it's translated doers here, because this is the noun form. And then he talks about doing righteousness. Well, the word is righteous. Okay, well, how do you do the word? You do it by believing in it, and that's saving your souls, which James is likening to a commercial transaction because, again, sorry to keep repeating, you're the fruit, not what you do. God brings us forth via the word of truth. So that means you got to get the word in you. That's the main theme of James, and that's the main theme of Paul, and that's the main theme of John. Abide in the vine, John 15. And then 1 John is entirely about this. Okay, so then being a doer is actually somebody productive. See this commercial? He's making an analogy to wealth. True word is true wealth, and that makes you a true doer, as opposed to all the people running around out there doing good deeds, but don't have the word in them. They're not doers of the word then, are they? They're doing good deeds, but they're not doers of the word. So doing the word has to be different from doing good deeds. See that? Why? Because it's changing your soul. The word changes your soul as you learn it. And that makes you become first fruits, just like the Lord got the truth in him and became the truth. You have to become first fruits. That's your purpose. So that we would be a kind of, see, that's hina. Aisto, oh, that's even stronger. Okay? With the purpose that we become. So that we become would be, that's aisto ine. That means so that we become. I mean, that's the purpose. It's not even, wow. That's a fiat. Okay. So, being a doer of the word means being a believer of the word. Of the word, not something else. And a doer of the word, not necessarily good deeds. So you're learning the word, just like Christ spent 30 years learning the word before anybody even heard of him publicly. Okay? You don't hear anything about his good deeds in the Bible at all. You only hear of him teaching the word. So what's the real good deed then? John begs that question in 1 John 3:18. Okay, what's the real doing of the word? What saved you? Christ's thinking word on the cross. Isaiah 53:11. So what's the good deed to do? Learn the word. And you're doing it if you're learning it and believing it. You know, that was what he was saying back in 121. Okay. See? Receive. Dexete. Dexeste. Receive. Welcome. The word that's already implanted in you. It needs to grow. And that saves your soul from its trashy thinking. And you become in the truth also. So that's why you see James saying here, doing the word by what? Looking intently. Remember, we just covered that. Okay? Craning your neck. Straining to learn it. I mean, straining not like you have to, it's not like, but you want it so badly that you just naturally want to, crane your neck to get it. You're interested. You bend over to get it. And then that's abiding in it. You can't abide in something you don't believe. Okay? So then James makes a parallel. This is really, boy, I was shocked when I heard this. Makes a parallel to a guy who is religious and is really sarcastic. All right? He's saying, oh, you think you're religious and you don't hold your tongue? Okay, well, if you don't hold your tongue, your religious is empty. Actually, this isn't even empty. This word Matthias, translated as worthless. Worthless is too tame a translation. It means a vacuum. Like space is a vacuum, mostly a vacuum, imperfect vacuum. That means you're vacuum. You are so empty, there's no air in you even. Okay? Alright, so commercially, a thing that's a vacuum has no value. Hope you got that. So that's a commercial comparison too, especially with Matthias. It's a really nasty word. Okay? So, we've been tracing it here. Doer, doer, doer. You're the first fruits. your soul is getting saved in the sense of it's getting saved from its bad thinking, because you're being made into the truth, just like he brought forth the word of truth in order to save us. And we're first fruits. So see, saved already. But it's like, what's on top of your salvation? You need maturation on top of your salvation. You're a seed. You need to grow into a tree before you can bear fruit. So now when we get to James 2, wowee, we got a pile up of the green, huh? So he's still on the theme of money. Spiritual money? Faith, word in you. Or do you trust in your gold ring and fine clothes? That was the problem the Jews in diaspora had. They're not treating the faith here as gold. Instead, they're looking at the guy's gold ring and saying, they're bending over, craning their necks, looking intently at the guy's gold ring. Yeah, the word didn't mean anything to them, so they weren't doers of the word. They would go to the shul and they would mouth the words, but they would ignore the poor guy and they would favor the rich guy. So the word in them was Matthias, empty, worthless. See? They only mouthed it to be seen by men, just like the Pharisees. Okay? So that's, here's the gold ring and clothes. That's, the Greek for it. You can look at that at your leisure. You've got this. This is already a link in the sidebar, in the video description. And then we got the next thing is we've got their favoritism, and that's where we come into the other green, which is olive. Right here, comparison to their disbelief in word in favor of the material. So you see, you got they're looking at the wrong kind of wealth here. All right, they're using their favoritism for this guy, the guy with the gold ring, okay, instead of favoring faith. And so they were just mouthing the word. So they paid special attention. That's epiblepo, really. Okay? He's being very sarcastic and nasty here. Alright? They're paying special attention to the rich guy. They're ignoring the poor guy. Alright? And this isn't just making distinctions. This means judging. Diakrino means to judge, and so does krino, and that's the noun form, becoming judges. All right, so they're mouthing one thing and not listening to the word. It's just in their mouth. They're not believing in it. Okay, so that's why they're showing favoritism to the rich guy and shunning the poor guy. So in order to talk to them, okay, he first has to remind them of what God's provision is, because they're not thinking about that. All right? And he's using the law that they well know, because it's always in their mouth, okay, about poor and rich. And that's why he says, the bad thing, don't the rich hurt you? Why are you being mean to the poor guy? Don't you know the poor guy's just as much in Christ? And then he reminds them of probably the most famous rule in Judaism, which is the rule about not taking vengeance. That's Leviticus 19, 18, and 19. Okay? It's don't take vengeance, love your neighbor as yourself instead. And he's doing that because they all sort of accept that idea, and they pat themselves on the back for it. Okay, but if you show partiality, then you're not obeying this rule that you're so proud of. They're very proud of this. Okay, but showing partiality violates it. Alright? And so that's why he reminds them of the law here. Alright, but that's also, he goes through this digression with the law. Alright, because that's what they knew pre-salvation, because they're carnal. So he has to use stuff they knew pre-salvation in order to get through to them. Okay, and now we come to the famous James 2:14. Since he's been talking about wealth, he's been comparing it to physical wealth, showing how they're supposed to be first fruits, getting true wealth in their souls. Then what he has to do is make the comparison further. And when he does that, remember in the earlier videos we talked about this word ophelos, meaning profit. Use is not the proper translation. The KJV, which I'm not using here, is profit. What profit is it, brethren, if he says he has faith but no works? And this is faith, meaning the word, believed. It's an arthrus. I'll go through that in the next video.